Success, overcoming, and winning in life is no accident. Creating individual success is like having a recipe for a great meal. It only works if you know how to use the ingredients. As a best-selling author, entrepreneur, business coach, strategist, and champion, the Louis Howard Live Show provides you the insider's view on winning. All we do is win, 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 helping you become the best version of yourself. Good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of Louis Howard Live. And of course, I'm Louis Howard, and I'm going to get the music off here. Appreciate you joining us. It's been a while since we have done a live mini broadcast that we're still doing. We'll get to some full studio setups here quickly, but it is the beginning of the fall season, so I wanted to kick off September. One of my favorite songs, Do You Remember September by Earth, Wind & Fire. Maybe you guys are too young to remember that. Others might remember the song. Still cool. Today, I just want to give a little bit of insight, a little bit of shout out. First of all, shout out to all the dreamers. Because I love a dreamer. I consider myself a dreamer. And a dreamer is, to me, not any official definition, but it is someone that can see beyond their current situation or a condition or a lot in life or position in life or problem set, whatever you're dealing with or whatever you are facing, and that you can see beyond that and imagine a world, a life that is greater. You and I are being able to communicate wherever you're hearing this show or downloading this show, however format you're getting, because somebody dreamed a dream. Not because somebody got up and went to work at a factory or at a donut shop or at Starbucks, but because they dared to dream something that is actually making it possible for you and I to be able to communicate. Technology had to be dreamed up. I know if you were born into it, maybe you're in your 20s or something, you were born into technology, so it already existed for you. But prior to that, technology in the 70s and 80s, and for social media and all the things you just take for granted or just do at ease or just use, had to be dreamed up. It wasn't like air. Oxygen has always been on the planet. But many of the things, so number one is take a minute to look around your surroundings and your life and focus for a minute that everything that you are using to obtain a quality of life, whether it's a computer, whether it's a phone, whether it's some other technology tool, Netflix, if you're watching shows, these are all technologies that had to be thought of. You get what I'm saying, right? So people have to dream of stuff before it becomes reality. I live next to like a fire station, and it's been an active day. I don't know what people did on Labor Day, but after the fact, we are dealing with a lot of emergencies. So Godspeed, wish them well. Anyway, so I just want to give a shout out to those who have the audacity to dream, and those that are heroes of your own dream. So I like to think about people that had dreams, and I want to stay relevant, and I don't like to get too far off. But I'll use a recent story of a men's 200-meter race, and the gentleman that owns the record for the 200-meter race for men is a gentleman by the name of Usain Bolt from Africa, I believe. And he has held that record for a long time. I want to say 10 years, 20 years. But there is a new athlete who's by the name of Noah Lyles, young man, come up, and he has been after that record. He's had a dream of breaking, the record. And he recently ran in U.S. Olympic trials or sporting event and slated on the 200-mile meter, set a record, but he didn't get Usain's record. But he keeps dreaming of that record. Let's go back a little bit in time. The 4-minute mile. The 4-minute mile, nobody had ever run a mile in 4 minutes until a man named Roger Bannister came on the scene. And Roger Bannister had a dream of running a mile, right, in 4 minutes, something that had never been done. Experts say was impossible. The human body's conditioning and so forth wasn't made for that. But nobody bothered to tell Roger Bannister that. So Roger Bannister had a dream in his head that he could beat this record. And the first time he tried, he didn't. He had some issues. There were weather, but he never gave up. He kept believing he could beat that record. And eventually, I believe in 1950 something, I don't have the date off the top of my head, but he beat that record. Okay. Once he beat that record, others came behind him and started running the mile in 4 minutes. But if Roger Bannister hadn't been the dream maker, other people would not have accomplished the task. So maybe in your life, I'm thinking maybe you are dreaming in something or dreaming of something that might appear to be impossible. Maybe you are dreaming of owning your own company. Maybe you have some fashion idea or music idea or book idea. And sometimes you can look around and say, well, everybody's already done that. Why would I want to be different? But don't think that way, because you could dream of something or do something that would have a distinctive impact on a certain group of people that might love what you are designing, some piece of clothing or music or art or whatever. So it is courageous when you see others that maybe have done something similar, but you still have a dream. I have a dream of having a #1 podcast. There are a lot of people that have podcasts, thousands. When I started, there were probably dozens of people that have podcasts, and now there may be in the millions as far as I know. I don't do a count, but I still have a dream of having a #1 podcast, right? In spite of Joe Rogan, right, being so good at what he does, that won't stop me. So just because somebody's accomplishing something in an area, again, going back to Noah Lyles, Usain Bolt had already accomplished something, right? He could just say, I'm going to just set my own record, but instead he's pursuing that record and he'll get it. He got it he got 19 seconds. The record is 1941. So he's 30 seconds away. He's going to get it, right? He keeps trying. But he could say, you know what, I got my own record, that's good enough, and I could, turn off my dream machine and go on and do something else. But champions don't think like that. So I believe that there's a champion in each one of you that are listening to me today that have a dream in you. Now, let's talk about what can shut the dream machine down right quick. Life. Okay. Number one, life can shut the dream machine down. Okay. If you start out one direction in life and all of a sudden life blows you in another direction, many people don't come back from that direction. You started out right, life blew you left. Okay. You started out to finish college, you dropped out of high school. You started out and you got to be a mom or dad at a very early age. Life just shut you down. Maybe you all of a sudden ran into a sickness or illness or debilitating disease. Life shut you down. Maybe you wanted to get to America and you're still stuck and waiting for an immigration opportunity. Life will shut you down. Number two, people, family. I've been watching a lot of shows that have involved Asian families and how the typical Asian family looks at their children. And most of them, I know, I can be more specific. There's a documentary called 38 at the Garden. And it is a perfect example of a dream machine, right? So I'm going to recommend as a homework assignment, if you get a chance, watch the show 38 Garden. I think it's on YouTube. It's the NBA player Jeremy Lin. It's not just about NBA. So even if you don't like NBA, you'll like this story because it's about the impossible idea of one of the first Asian NBA players to do something phenomenal, right? Number one, just to be an Asian NBA player, that sounds like an oxymoron. But in 2012, Jeremy Lin did something amazing. But the backstory to Jeremy Lin is that he was raised in an Asian family. And like most families, he was expected to go to college, graduate, become either a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, or some high level financial analyst or expert. And Jeremy Lin did none of that. He went to college, but his passion became basketball. Okay. It wasn't engineering. It wasn't, he tried it. It didn't work. Now, can you imagine? He's got a dream machine on to play in the NBA, but his DNA, his family, and everything about him says, you're an Asian dude, you can't go out and do it. His family's telling him, you need to be a lawyer, you need to be an engineer. What's wrong with you? Okay? That could have shut his dream machine down right then. Because if you learn anything about Asian families and moms, they can put some pressure on their kids. They start when these kids are like 7 to 8, buying them instruments, getting them ready for college, and they're expected to pass every course with 100%, right? So that's a lot of pressure and expectation on you. So imagine breaking that. Now, in Jeremy Lin's case, he was fortunate that he had a dad who loved basketball. If he hadn't had a dad who loved basketball, I'm not sure we would know the Jeremy Lin story. But he had a dad that loved basketball. But it didn't stop there because even though his dad loved basketball and is supported, colleges didn't love him. Colleges didn't want to draft him. Coaches and assistants on it. In fact, when he got his first opportunity to play in the NBA, he had to sleep on somebody's couch as an undrafted player. And when he walked into the stadium or the facility, they thought he was security. They thought he worked there. They did not think of all things he would be an NBA player. Talk about keeping resilience, keeping your dream alive. What has somebody told you that you can't do? What has somebody told you you can't have? Okay. Even in the most impossible circumstance that you might be hearing or listening or watching this show on, right? You can still have the impossible. Jeremy Lin accomplished the impossible. He went from an undrafted player, no contract, suiting up every day with no guarantee to be on the team, the New York Knicks. He had been traded a couple times. He was ready already for the dust heap of NBA players in his second or third year. But instead, he gets the opportunity of a lifetime only because other players got hurt. Jeremy Lin got an opportunity to step on the court of an NBA game. And it was at that moment that he had the opportunity to wake his dream machine up, to prove the naysayers wrong, to keep this thing alive and show out. And show out he did. He played so well, it was like watching a video game. In fact, that's why one of the assistant coaches was quoted as saying, you don't get playing time because you're playing like you're in a video game. But on that night in the Garden, he played like he was in a video game. And he would go on to continue that, averaging 25 points, 30 points a game. Pretty soon they signed him. But the game of all games for him was the year 2012 at the Garden, where he was playing against none other than the late Kobe Bryant, who had just come off of 2 championships and some other trophies and accolades, was going up against. This is who Jeremy Lin was going up against on that night. He lit it up. You gotta watch it. You gotta watch. If you have any questions about your dream, or you want to refire your dream, if you want to get some motivation, check out 38 at the Garden, because Jeremy Lin put 38 on the Lakers that night. He was unstoppable. And he would continue to have for 10 years playing the NBA, and eventually won a championship with the Toronto Raptors. And I want to wrap up because Jeremy Lin had hero moments. First of all, to Asian citizens and immigrants who never thought it possible to see an Asian NBA player being able to do what he could do. But he had a moment where he was playing with Toronto, few seconds remaining in the game. He waves his team off, clock is running down, and he takes the final shot and he nails it. He nails it and he wins the game. He, at that moment, became like a hero. He became the hero of his own dream, right? You have to find a way to become the hero of your dream. If you're a mom, you can become the hero of your dream. If you're a dad, you can become the hero of your dream. If you're a college student, teenager, whatever you're doing, if you're a senior citizen, you can still become the hero of your dream. Remember the Colonel, KFC, you probably had some recently, started his dream when he was 63. Most people are getting on AARP at 63. They're not starting a franchise. Ray Kroc, that other Golden Arches, started at 54. Dreams, okay? How old are you? What stage of you? Have you folded your dream? Have you turned off your dream machine because somebody pointed a finger in your face and told you you couldn't do it? I keep focused on my dream. I have some dreams that are still unfolding, that are coming. And I want to encourage you to, number one, look around you and see examples of heroes in your life, study them. Look around and appreciate that everything that you're using, from your phone to the laptop to the light switch, everything was in some head. You want to be a dreamer? Study dreamers. You can't study loser men and loser people to become a dreamer. No kid grows up to become loser person. They don't think that way. They think, I want to become Superman. I want to become Barbie. Barbie is huge now. I don't know if you've seen the movie Barbie. That's huge, right? Wonder Woman. There are amazing examples of, in both genders, heroes. Find you one. If you don't have it in you, then study it. Maybe take a break from some of these, The Wire or whatever series you're binging on. Let's start studying some hero stuff. Start with Jeremy Lin. This man is a hero.
Every great champion knows that success, overcoming and winning in life is no accident. Creating individual success is like having a recipe for a great meal. It only works if you know how to use the ingredients. As a best-selling author, entrepreneur, business coach, strategist, and champion, the Lewis Howard Live Show provides you the insider's view on winning. All we do is win, 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 helping you become the best version of yourself.